Hey guys, thanks for coming back. This is a retro spot on Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light, Darkling Lords, Lexor. Lexor was probably my least favorite of all the Darkling Lords. Very cowardice. He was very deceptive. He lied. He basically was the kiss ass of the Darkling Lords, always sucking up to Darkstorm. There was him and what was the other guy's name? Lexor and I draw a blank right now, but it was this guy basically lied and cheated his way, and yeah, I wasn't a big fan of this character. There was there was very little of him used in the series. He other than just being a background character, he seemed to be used more when he was using his power staff, and I'll get into that in a moment. Now, if you can see it, I'll try to get that in camera here. His magical totem was that of an armadillo. Very fitting of him as well, because he never used it in battle. Instead, he'd always turn into an armadillo, and he was, just a little thing like that. And he turned into armadillo, and then he'd scurry off, or he'd roll himself up in a ball kind of thing, and hide in the corner. Very much a coward, and he came with a helmet. And I'll grab it down here. His helmet looked a lot like almost something you'd see in like a Mad Max movie with the spikes and closed off and everything else. We'll just put it on the figure here. Oh, by the way, I will also point out too that Lexor is my least favorite looking of the figures. He's got a permanent grimace, he's kind of all unhappy kind of thing. As well, generally back in the day, even with G.I. Joes, you only usually had two colors on the head. You had the face color, like the skin color, and then you'd have the color of the facial hair and the beard and the hair and everything else. And it was always funny that the eyes and everything else always had that same color as the beard. Definitely not one of my favorite of the figures. I usually put the helmet on here. And I will say this for the the Visionaries, there we go, was that the helmets were a little tight to put on. But there you have Lexor with his helmet. Put this guy down here for a second, and we'll look at his accessories. He came with. Now this was a boomerang, kind of like handcuff, I would say. Not bad. Not really too much to it. But and then of course he had his power staff. And this was the power staff of invulnerability. So of course, I'm sure you can guess it, anytime he usually used his power staff, it was just to combat someone else's abilities. Generally, he was used always right after Cryotech used his summon of might, which was a giant guy that shot a bow and arrow, and then he'd shoot it. And then as it was coming towards a vehicle like the Dagger Assault or Sky Claw, you'd have all of a sudden Darkstorm would say, Lexor, use the power of invulnerability, and then he'd quickly summon it, and then it would protect them, and then after that it would go away. So he was only used as a backup. He never was used for anything else. I don't know if you can see it all that well. The holograms, of course, are bit faded because of the age, but you'd have your dragon, and then the other summon, there you go, the other summon was a guy, and he had like horns on his head kind of thing. His summon, of course, was well, I shouldn't say of course, not everybody knows, but his summon was the arrows turn, the swords rebel, may nothing pierce this mortal shell, and then of course it would flicker, and then this guy would come out, and then there was times where it would just put an energy field around the vehicle, or sometimes this giant guy would appear and then he would put a field around the vehicle. And like I said, it would get hit once, and then all of a sudden that was the end of his ability, and then he had to recharge his staff when they went back to Merklin. So his was the most effective but most useless staff, just because he could only use it once and it was only just to defend. If I quickly look at quickly show you the file card here, there's Lexor. Lexor, a foe of good, he prides himself on the talent to create havoc, wreaking terror wherever he goes. File card paints him a little bit better than what he was in the series. In the cartoon, he was more of a coward, but a mystical personality. The armadillo symbolizes Lexor's indomitable fortitude to withstand attack. And magical totem, Lexor summons his power of invulnerability to keep him unscared or unscarred during hand-to-hand combat with the spectral knights, which wasn't really right either, because it shielded the vehicles and stuff. It seldom he would never make a shield for any of the Darkling Lords, but yeah. And then there's his summon. There's turn swords rebel, may nothing pierce more shell. And there's a better idea, a better look at him. It's funny that even in this, the hologram kind of looks like he's got a mustache. It kind of looks like he's an Italian, and then he's of course got the horned top there. But there you have Lexor. That pretty much wraps up this review. Like I said, keep tuning in. We're going to try to go through all the Visionaries, and then I want to do all the vehicles as well. The big guy to look out for is the Dagger Assault. That vehicle is just huge, but I'll try to get that guy done as well. But there you have a retro spot on Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light, Darkling Lords, Lexor. I'll see you guys next time.